Once upon a starry time, far beyond the clouds, lived a boy no bigger than your thumb. He lived alone on a tiny planet no wider than a house. His name was the Little Prince. His planet was called Asteroid B612. It had 3 volcanoes, 2 active, 1 sleepy, and a special flower. Not just any flower. A rose with red velvet petals, thorns like tiny swords, and a heart full of pride. The little prince loved her dearly, but he was complicated. "I need a glass dome. I'm cold. I'm delicate," he'd say. So one day, the little prince swept his volcanoes clean, covered his rose with her dome, and flew away with a flock of wild birds. He wasn't angry, just curious. He wanted to understand people and love and stars. First, he visited the king's planet. The king wore a crown too big and gave orders to everything, even the stars. "Be reasonable," said the king. "I rule everything." The little prince bowed, but his heart felt empty. Then came the vain man's planet. "Clap for me," he demanded, posing on a rock. "But why?" asked the prince. "Because I'm the most handsome, the most elegant, the most admired." The prince clapped once, then left. Next came the drunkard's planet. The man was surrounded by bottles. "Why do you drink?" the prince asked. "To forget," said the man. "To forget what?" "To forget I'm ashamed." "Ashamed of what?" "That I drink." The prince blinked. "Grown-ups are strange," he whispered. On the next planet was the businessman, counting stars. 501,000,000, 502,000,000. "What do you do with them?" the prince asked. "I own them," the man said. "I count them and write them in books." "But stars belong to no one." The prince moved on, feeling lonelier with each stop. Then came the lamplighter's planet. The man lit a street lamp every minute because his planet spun too fast. "It's my duty," he said, lighting and blowing out the lamp again and again. "You're the only one I could be friends with," the prince sighed. "You care for something other than yourself." But the planet was too small, so he kept flying. Finally, he reached the geographer's planet. The old man never left his desk. "I record what explorers tell me." "Do you know about oceans or mountains or flowers?" asked the prince. "No, I don't explore. I wait for others to bring the facts." The prince frowned. "My rose, is he eternal?" "Flowers are ephemeral," said the geographer. "They vanish." The little prince's heart cracked like ice. His rose would disappear? He missed her. So he flew toward the blue planet, the one called Earth. He met a snake in the desert. "I can send you home," hissed the snake, "with a single bite." But the prince wasn't ready. In the sand dunes, he found a rose garden. He was shocked. His rose had told him he was unique, and yet there were thousands. He cried beneath the stars. Then he met a fox. "Play with me," said the prince. "I can't," said the fox. "I'm not tamed." "What does tamed mean?" "It means we build trust. It means you become mine and I become yours. It means time and love make someone special." So they sat together, day after day. The prince returned each day at the same time. They shared silence and smiles. And then it was time to say goodbye. "Here's my secret," whispered the fox. "One sees clearly only with the heart. What is essential is invisible to the eye." The prince remembered his rose. He was unique not because he was rare, but because he had tended to her, watered her, protected her, loved her. No other rose had his care. He thanked the fox and walked on. In the desert, he met a pilot whose plane had crashed. The pilot told his story while the pilot fixed his engine with greasy hands. The two shared stories, laughter, stargazing, and silence. But after 8 days, the prince grew tired. He said, "My body is too heavy now. I must return to my star." He met the snake again. The pilot was frightened, but the prince smiled. "It'll look like I'm dead, but I'm not. You'll see me in the stars." And just before sunrise, the snake bit him once. The prince fell gently into the sand. The next morning, he was gone. The pilot fixed his plane. He flew away. But he never forgot the boy who loved a rose. And every night he looked at the sky and smiled. Because somewhere out there, on a tiny planet, a little prince watered his rose and laughed with the stars.